Chip, thanks. Severe weather moved through North Texas last night, triggering tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings. The National Weather Service has already confirmed a tornado in Palo Pinto County.
Fox 4's Peyton May joining us this morning in studio with a look at some of the hardest hit areas. Peyton.
Yes, Brandon, there's still more than 1,200 customers without power in Palo Pinto County, which is around 65 miles west of Fort Worth. Two school districts there, Gordon and Santo ISDs, are closed today. Gordon reporting there's substantial damage on campus and asking students and staff to stay away for safety concerns. Fox 4 viewers from across Palo Pinto County are sending in videos from their experience with last night's storms. Rachel Custon sent in these photos of golf ball and baseball size hail that hit her home in Santo. There's also downed tree limbs, damaged power lines, and some snapped power poles, which you can see in this video sent in by viewer Heinz Mattern. Now, some viewers witnessed multiple funnel clouds. This video, also from Santo, Texas, shows two twisters forming right next to each other. Fox 4 viewer Keisha Carlton sent this in. The funnel clouds don't appear to merge or fully touch down in the video. The rain was pouring in Santo as viewers Charlize and Chris Treviso spotted rotation and a mass of black clouds. There's flashes of lightning surrounding the area. Now, Palo Pinto County Emergency Management reports minor injuries in the county. A few people were transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Reporting, I'm Peyton May for Good Day.
Police in Plano say that they are investigating an overnight crash that killed 3 people. Just one vehicle was involved. Somehow the driver lost control and smashed into construction barriers, then into a concrete wall between Park and Parker Road on Interstate 75. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is covering this for us tonight. She joins us live now with more. Amelia, have the victims been identified yet?
Excuse me, Casey. No, the victims have not been identified. Plano police told us this afternoon that they are waiting for the medical examiner's report to confirm the identities of all 3 people who unfortunately lost their lives in this crash. Officers on scene described it as horrific, and investigators are still working to piece together what exactly led up to the crash. Scorched pavement on U.S. Highway 75 near the Parker Road exit is what's left behind after police say a car crashed and caught fire. The crash happened around 2:30 a.m. on Sunday. Police say the small SUV hit construction barriers and a concrete wall before bursting into flames.
Because of the fire and the heat of it, no one could get near it until Plano Fire was able to extinguish the fire out of the vehicle.
When officers approached the vehicle, they found 3 people dead inside.
From what I understand and hearing from some of the officers and stuff, that it was very horrific. And we have a peer support group here at the police department, and I believe that's going to be activated for the officers that were on the scene.
It's unclear where the victims were sitting in the car and if they died from the impact of the crash or the fire. Investigators are waiting for the medical examiner's report to identify the 3 victims properly.
Even if we have family that comes forward saying, you know, someone didn't come home or that they can't reach them or something like that, we still have to wait for the final determination from the medical examiner's office.
Other motorists called in the crash, and Plano police say the car was on fire before officers arrived. The northbound lanes of Highway 75 were shut down until around 9 this morning as investigators searched for evidence and cleared the scene.
Multiple officers out there that are taking measurements, using drones to map the area so that we can do a good, thorough, complete investigation to find out what happened that led up to the crash.
Police say the car itself might provide clues about what led up to the crash.
The vehicle was impounded. They will be looking at anything that they might be able to get from it for either the electronic devices and stuff that's built into the cars now for that black box, so to speak.
And Plano police are asking for any witnesses, people who might have been driving by and saw the crash, or people who saw the car just before the crash happened, to give Plano police a call. Casey, back to you.
Yeah, Amelia, hopefully that can aid them in their investigation. Fox 4's Amelia Jones live for us tonight. Amelia, thank you.
Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer.
Fox 4's Dan Godwin joins us in studio with what we know so far about the diagnosis. Dan?
And Shannon, when you first hear this diagnosis, it sounds grim, but there is also still reason for some guarded optimism. First, we want to show you a social media post from the former president this morning. Quote, "Cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support." Biden's office making the announcement on Sunday saying the cancer cells have spread to his bones. The 82-year-old was diagnosed on Friday after experiencing urinary symptoms. The former president is currently said to be reviewing treatment options with his doctors.
I want the viewer to know that most of the time prostate cancer will be asymptomatic. When it reaches the point where you already have urinary symptoms, that's also a sign that it's pretty far advanced.
However, Biden's office also saying his case seems to be hormone sensitive, allowing for some effective treatments. Dr. Siegel says there's still hope the cancer can be stopped by hormone therapy and perhaps radiation. And he says while the president's current diagnosis may not be ominous, it could still be life-threatening. Well wishes have been pouring in for Biden from both sides of the political aisle. Former President Trump posting yesterday, quote, "Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis." Trump went on to say, "We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family." Former President Obama, as well as former Vice President Kamala Harris, also posting words of encouragement to former President Biden. Shannon and Brandon.
Texas formally requested a waiver to prevent people using food stamps from buying sweetened drinks and candy. It's part of a bigger push to regulate what people on government assistance can buy. Fox 4 Stephen Dial in the newsroom with more. Stephen.
Yeah, this came out from Governor Abbott on Thursday, but there's a bill in the Texas legislature to ban food stamp recipients from buying certain things like soda and chips. Governor Abbott is surpassing the legislature and trying to go directly to the USDA to ban certain items.
I'm banking that the people who are trying to pass that bill, they don't get it. They've never sat in the seat like I have, crying, saying I can't even get a meal for my kids.
Founder of Minnie's Food Pantry, Cheryl Jackson, did not mince words in reaction to Governor Abbott's letter to the USDA. Thursday, Abbott requested a waiver restricting food stamp recipients from being able to purchase certain items. More than 3 million Texans use SNAP benefits at a cost of about $7 billion per year. Jackson said the focus should be on giving low-income people access to healthy foods.
If they pass that law, you have to, first of all, give these people an opportunity to get to the healthy meals that they're saying, right? There's so many food desert areas in the state of Texas.
In a letter to the USDA, Governor Abbott said, quote, SNAP was created to increase access to nutritious food. This letter serves as a formal request from the state of Texas to prohibit SNAP benefits from being used to purchase sweetened drinks and candy.
What's your reaction to that?
Does he not have anything else he could be working on besides sweet drinks and candy for kids?
Hours after the request from Governor Abbott, USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins, who is from North Texas, posted on social media saying that she is grateful to Governor Abbott and her home state of Texas for leading the charge and taking action by submitting a SNAP waiver, and said that I look forward to reviewing it ASAP.
Soda is not essential to health and well-being.
Aside from Governor Abbott's request, there is a bill in the legislature that passed the Senate to limit what SNAP recipients can buy. But there's less than 3 weeks to go for the House to pass that.
But let's do the whole wraparound services that they need to understand why you're doing this, not just take it from them. It's not right. It's not going to work unless you do it the right way.
The USDA told me that 7 states requested waivers before Texas did this week. So far, no decisions have been made to approve or deny them.
Stephen Dial in the newsroom. Thank you.